Everyone knows that eating seafood 2 or 3 times a week is good for you. It's a low-calorie, high-protein wonder food that reduces the risk of heart attack and stroke and can even make you smarter. In Australia, we're lucky enough to have some of the best seafood in the world. But there's a problem. There's just not enough to go around. Our wild fisheries are close to their sustainable limit, and our aquaculture supplies only a fraction of what we need. And what we need is about 1 million tonnes more every year just to reach the level of consumption recommended by our own National Health and Medical Research Council in its dietary guidelines for Australians. Now, we can increase our aquaculture production in Australia, but it's going to take at least 30 or 40 years to catch up with demand. So in the meantime, we have to find our seafood somewhere else to make sure we have enough for everyone and so that it can be sold at prices that are affordable for all Australians. A big part of the solution lies in Southeast Asia, and particularly in nations like Vietnam, where they have abundant coastline and rivers, lots of fish, and lots of fish farming. Now, many people in Australia wonder if it's safe to eat fish from Asia because of the water quality and possible contamination. They also wonder if the fish is farmed sustainably and ethically. So we went to Vietnam to ask the experts who actually work there. We started at Van Phong Bay near Nha Trang, about 400 kilometres north of Ho Chi Minh City, where a company founded by Australians operates the world's biggest barramundi farm. The farm manager here is Dan Fisk, an Australian who learned fish farming in the salmon industry in Tasmania. We asked Dan why Australis chose this location for its farm.
You have a beautiful pristine bay that has very little freshwater runoff, so it maintains a very stable environment, warm water, low impact from freshwater environments, and low development. It's classified as one of 4 socioeconomic zones in Vietnam where there is an underdevelopment occurring. And so obviously underdevelopment lends itself very well to saltwater sea cage production.
So what's special about Australis barramundi from Vietnam?
One of the key things in terms of improving the quality of our product is that the Australis barramundi is farmed in sea cages in saltwater environment, a very clean saltwater environment. And that helps to improve the flesh quality. It also improves the performance of the fish and the other health attributes that go along with the product. From the moment we harvest, our fish are in the factory and being processed within 12 hours. We do that to ensure that we're maintaining the absolute freshest product. Our fish are brought down to 4 degrees within 20 minutes of coming out of the water, out of the 28-degree farming environment, and we hold that temperature low right the way through the processing facility until they're individually quick frozen down to -28 in 15 minutes. And that helps to lock in the flavor.
So the coastal regions of Vietnam are suitable for aquaculture. But what about the famous Mekong Delta, which really is the home of Vietnam's food production? It's also home to Australia's second most popular fish, Basa. This one river produces 10 times more fish than the entire continent of Australia. It is the largest flow of fresh water on the planet. Here on its banks, strategically located for good water quality and growing conditions, is an industry that feeds the world. The fish is known globally as Pangasius, one species of which we call Basa. This farm, operated by the Casamex Corporation, is exclusively for broodstock. These huge fish are the parents of millions of juveniles that will be grown to market size in separate grow-out farms. The location here is typical of most export-focused Basa farms, constructed on a virtually undeveloped riverbank and in close proximity to a vast torrent of fast-flowing river water. In the same province is this farm, owned by one of Vietnam's biggest producers, Vinh Hoan Corporation, which has 15 grow-out farms in the region. Like most large exporters, Vinh Hoan is fully integrated with its own ponds, feed mills to produce the fish food, and processing factories. This means it can control the entire supply chain, enabling it to meet the world's highest standards for each operation. These fish can reach market size in just over 6 months, making Basa farming one of the most productive forms of food production there is. Good aquaculture practice, farm hygiene and biosecurity, such as these strings over the ponds to keep birds away, ensure the good health of the fish so that the use of antibiotics and other chemicals for their survival is not required. Continual testing of water, fish feed and fish assures Basa are not rejected by countries like Australia that have strict residue and pathogen controls. To maximise quality and freshness, harvested fish are transported alive by specially designed boats via the Mekong Delta's extensive network of rivers and canals for processing. Vietnam's fish processing factories are the envy of the world, and here at Vinh Hoan's Factory Number 1 you can see why. Food safety is ingrained in every aspect of the operation, from staff hygiene to process controls and quality assurance. The fish are converted to hand-sculptured fillets within hours, each piece individually checked before being snap frozen and packed for export. These production systems are certified to global food safety standards such as HACCP, ISO and even BRC, the British Retail Consortium standard, which should satisfy even the most fastidious buyer. Standards for environmental sustainability are set by global NGOs such as the Aquaculture Stewardship Council, the Global Aquaculture Alliance and Global Gap, three of the world's biggest. Vinh Hoan was the first company in Vietnam to achieve ASC certification, and although the standard was only introduced last year, it is estimated that 50% of Vietnam's Basa farms will be ASC certified by the end of 2015, the remainder choosing other global standards. Jeff Peterson is Director of Quality Control for the Global Aquaculture Alliance, whose Best Aquaculture Practice, or BAP standard, is one of the most recognised in the world. He was at the industry's annual trade show, Vietfish, in Ho Chi Minh City.
I think Vietnam is a real showcase for what can be accomplished. First of all, they're very conscious of what this means to their marketability. And the uptake for the standards, not just BAP but others as well, has been pretty impressive. And we're starting to see now that these best management practices become part of their operating philosophy, so that you could say that they're always ready to be audited or to be visited and prepared for that. And that's our ultimate goal. I think that the quality, the food safety issues have been addressed. With their attention now to the environment and focusing more on social accountability, I would say that products from Vietnam, the ones that are from reputable companies, are without doubt among the best you'll find anywhere.